recorded.
For posterity.
For everything, yeah.
Posterity.
All right, let me have that real quick. Oh, since this. So, we're starting, Brian. All right. So, today, John Hinkle and I, brother-in-laws, are going to spend some time with the eldest and the youngest children of Thomas Eugene Douthit Sr. and Opal Fern Morris. Thomas Eugene Jr., known as Gene, was born, you were born on May 4th, 1929, and Jay, you were born on March 4th, 1943.
March 1st.
March, thank you. Okay, that's, Marilyn has that incorrect.
John, there'll be a lot of editing.
Yeah, we'll edit that. So, I, the moderator, I am the oldest grandson.
Yeah.
Am I not?
Mm-hmm.
And along with John, we're going to spend some time talking to Gene and Jay, we'll be asking questions. I want you guys to chime in and answer, and the questions are to be a guide, if you will, and we will see how it goes from there. All right? And John's going to jump in. John's got a couple questions he's going to ask, and then anything that sparks his interest, he's also going to ask as well. All right. So if Dad and Jay, Uncle Jay, if both of you will briefly introduce yourself, if you will. And as the elder, Dad, you want to start, briefly introduce yourself.
I am Thomas Eugene Douthit Jr., MD, Colonel, USAR, retired.
And you were born where?
Kanawha, May the 4th, 1929.
Were you-
long time ago.
A few years ago. Were you born in a hospital or at home?
I think I was born at home.
Okay. Jay, Uncle Jay,
Yes,
introduce yourself if you will.
Jay Douthit, no middle name. I was born in Ada, Oklahoma at the hospital. The only one to be delivered at a hospital. The rest of my siblings, the other 5, were born at home.
I didn't know that. Is that hospital still up in?
Valley View Hospital there in Ada, Oklahoma, yes.
Huh. Any idea? So Dad, you and your 4 siblings were born at home then. And was it a physician or a midwife, Dad?
I think physician, but I
Not sure.
don't know.
Okay.
See, there was 5 siblings before me.
Yeah. Yes. And we've got a question pertaining to that a little bit later, so we'll get to that. Now, do you know, or what is the origin of your name?
I've heard various things, French or Scotch-Irish, but evidently John Douthit came over in the 1700s from Scotland, I guess, or Ireland, I'm not sure.
And in terms of, Uncle Jay mentioned that he doesn't have a middle name. You have a middle name.
Yes.
And are you the only one?
Yeah, the reason Dad said he got so tired of citing Thomas Eugene Douthit for the Army that he vowed that his children would have no middle initial except me. I got stuck with everything.
So you got stuck with it. And Uncle Jay, what's the origin of Jay?
Okay, to regress a little bit, Scotch, Irish, and Dutch. And like Gene said, I was in the restaurant business, and one of the customers called me out and said they just got back from Paris, France, and they had met a couple that their last name was spelled just like ours, but they pronounced it Douthit.
Okay.
So in 1732, that's when the Douthit settled in South Carolina, North Carolina, in about 1732.
It was John Douthit.
Yeah, John.
John was the first Douthit to come
America.
to America.
And
Jay, you know where he came from? did you?
Londonderry, Ireland.
Londonderry.
Yeah.
I for some reason thought I've heard
They've
Coleraine.
changed that name now, the British, and I think it's Derry now, and
Okay,
I'm not sure about that. But originally it was Londonderry, Ireland.
interesting. All right. And Dad, I know you've gone by Gene, haven't you?
In fact, I was 13 before I knew I had the Thomas Eugene. It was just Gene Jr.
Okay. Interesting. And Thomas, now obviously your dad was Thomas Eugene Sr.
Right.
And what is your understanding of Thomas? It's a family name, I'm guessing?
I have no idea.
It was Dad's name.
So your
Bert,
Thomas Bird.
Thomas Burton
Okay.
Well,
Douthit,
actually,
and his wife Grace.
Christian and Kendra have the fifth Douthit. Thomas Rat Douthit. But the Thomas is at the fifth. I'm the third. His granddad was Thomas, great-granddad was Thomas. I was Thomas. Well, there were five somehow. I don't know if I have figured them wrong or what.
Okay. Well, Marilyn will know that. So I'm curious, what is your very earliest childhood memory?
Gene.
Well, growing up,
Both of you answer it, either one.
being born and living in small town Kanawha, being the son of a banker, and going to high school, good friend O.T. Dameron, who's the son of the bank, opposing bank. But I didn't really have too many friends. Mother didn't encourage it. In fact, I have never slept out of the house until I went to college. I never had a visit with a mother just tried to shield us. Because in my own thinking, I think she was, because from her background, she was a little shy about it and felt like she was almost an outcast. And especially when she'd go to see the in-laws. Jay, tell her about her reaction when to go and see Granddad.
It was about every couple of months, Dad would come to Mother and said, "Opal, I think it's matter of fact, it's time we go see the folks." And Mother said, "I just wilted." Said, because Thomas Burt, he would spray down the kids with a water hose. He would
Or hit him with his cane.
hit him with his cane, and just left the children in tears. And Mother dreaded that day when Dad would say it's time to go visit the folks. And he was a different breed of man, because Dad had showed interest in some of the oil leases, and Dad said, "Well, I got one I'll give you, and you pay me what I paid for it." And after a month or two, Thomas Burton wanted his money back. He wasn't too sure about it. So Dad, and I'm still getting a check about $1.50 or 75 cents every. I can't. It might be years before I get that check. But and my name Jay. Dad named me after Jay Huffman. You remember Jay Huffman, Gene? There in Conroe.
Lawyer.
He was a lawyer and a good friend of the family, and that's where Jay
Interesting.
and got in the mix there. And my fondest memory was my mother and dad. I tell you, they were
They were a force.
Yes, and mother, I called her the old war horse. And because she was firm, she was,
She ran a tight ship.
and in a hurry, always be on time, Jay.
Don't forget
15
that.
minutes, you be there 15 minutes early. And I said, why? You know, you might have a flat tire, something may come up that you might need a few more minutes to be on time. And that's why I'm deaf on, and I get criticized for it. Sometimes somebody said, I'll pick you up at 7:15. I said, be here at 7:15. I'll be right outside waiting. And if they're not there at 7:15, maybe 7:20, I'll call them and say, come on,
Come on.
let's go.
Interesting. Well, so I remember,
And let me tell you a story.
yeah,
When I was about 9 years old, it was my job to answer the phone. Do you remember the hall that went down, the bathroom on the left and the hallway? At the end of that was the telephone. I ran back there, answered, Douthit resident, boy, I had my spiel. The Douthit residence, and the fellow on the other end said, I'd like to speak with Thomas Eugene Douthit Sr. I said, hold on just a moment, please. I put it on the phone. Mother was in the kitchen, cooking, of course. And I went around, I said, Mom, she said, who was that? And I said, well, some guy, one Thomas Eugene Douthit Sr.? I said, we don't have anybody by that name. And she said, Jay, that's your father's name. I said, why didn't you just ask for Dad?
so you were 9 years old before you knew your dad's.
Yeah,
Who
I
your
thought I
dad's
was
name
Gene.
was.
They'd say, oh, you're Gene's boy. You know, and I thought my name was Gene's boy till I was 22, I did.
for a fair amount of time. All right, let me see, where are we?
Well, let me tell you about another memory of it.
Okay.
We used to have the water tower and the heating, you know, the
Hot water tank.
hot water tank in the kitchen, and Mother had a board on it, keeping it warm in case we need to be punished. And so it was a constant reminder of discipline.
Mother said I always kept it up there to keep it hot.